Welcome to Journey Through 100 Years of Avian Science and Conservation. Since 1922, BirdLife International and its partners have been at the forefront of efforts to understand and protect the world's birds. Over the decades, this global network has grown to include 119 national conservation organizations, united by a shared vision. Their work has ranged from producing the first comprehensive list of threatened bird species to developing global standards for identifying important sites for birds and other wildlife. These efforts have not only influenced policy but also brought about real conservation successes on the ground. Today, birds remain one of the best-known groups of organisms, providing us with vital insights into the health of our planet. State of the World's Birds Report is a flagship publication, providing a comprehensive overview of the planet's birds, the pressures they face, and the conservation actions underway. Each edition draws on high-quality data from a global community of conservation practitioners. The report has become a landmark, influencing policy at the highest levels and helping to cement BirdLife's reputation as a leader in conservation science. With each new edition, the urgency of the biodiversity crisis becomes clearer, but so too does the path forward. The next decade is critical for revering declines and ensuring a future where both birds and people can thrive. Biodiversity and climate crises escalate, the challenges to conservation grow ever more complex. The COVID-19 pandemic disrupted conservation efforts worldwide, diverting attention and resources away from environmental issues. Rising costs of living and increasing poverty further threat to distract from urgent action. Yet governments are making new commitments through international agreements like the Paris Agreement and the Convention on Biological Diversity. However, signing these agreements is not enough. Concrete action and effective implementation are essential to bring about real change. The coming years have been identified as a critical decade, a window of opportunity to scale up nature-based solutions and safeguard the natural world for future generations. Birds are found in every country and nearly every habitat on Earth, from the coldest polar regions to the hottest deserts. Their diversity is truly remarkable, with species ranging from tiny hummingbirds to towering ostriches. Some birds migrate thousands of kilometers, while others are masters of mimicry or display dazzling plumage to attract mates. This diversity has fascinated humans for centuries and continues to unite people around the world. Birds' unique adaptations and behaviors not only enrich our natural world, but also provide vital ecosystem services. Birds are more than just beautiful creatures. They serve as vital indicators of planetary health. Because they are widespread, easy to observe, and responsive to environmental changes, bird population trends often mirror those of other species. Monitoring birds gives us unparalleled insight into the state of nature as a whole. Areas rich in bird diversity are often important for other wildlife too, making birds a practical and effective barometer for the health of ecosystems worldwide. Birds play many crucial roles in ecosystems. They are pollinators, seed dispersers, predators, scavengers, and even ecosystem engineers. Their mobility allows them to connect distant habitats, cycling nutrients and supporting biodiversity. Birds also hold a special place in human culture, inspiring art, music, and literature for millennia. Birdwatching is a popular hobby that brings people together and has significant economic value. The loss of birds would not only disrupt ecosystems, but also diminish our cultural heritage. There's growing evidence that interacting with birds in nature can boost our mental health and well-being. Studies have shown that bird abundance is linked to lower rates of depression, anxiety, and stress. During the COVID-19 pandemic, many people found comfort in birdwatching and spending time outdoors. Healthy ecosystems also play a key role in regulating diseases, as seen in the case of vultures disposing of animal carcasses and reducing the risk of human infection. The health of people and bird populations are deeply interconnected. Birds were the first major group to be comprehensively assessed for the IUCN Red List, providing a detailed picture of extinction risk. BirdLife International regularly updates these assessments, collaborating with experts worldwide. The Red List Index allows us to track trends in extinction risk over time, offering valuable data for policy and conservation. Birds' comprehensive monitoring sets a benchmark for understanding biodiversity trends and identifying species most at risk. Biodiversity is not evenly distributed across the planet. Some locations are especially significant for conservation. Important bird and biodiversity areas, or IBAs, are sites identified as internationally important for birds and other wildlife. Over 13,600 IBAs have been documented worldwide, covering 9% of Earth's land and 2% of its oceans. These areas are crucial for targeting conservation efforts and have led to the creation of thousands of protected areas. The IBA concept has evolved into a global standard for identifying key biodiversity areas, ensuring that conservation is focused where it matters most. Nearly half of all bird species worldwide are experiencing population declines. This trend is not limited to rare or threatened species. Even common and widespread birds are declining rapidly in some regions. In North America, 2.9 billion birds have been lost since 1970, while the European Union has seen a loss of over 600 million birds since 1980. These losses have significant implications for ecosystem function and the services birds provide. The decline of bird populations is a global issue, with evidence emerging from every continent. More than 1 in 8 bird species is now threatened with extinction. The distribution of these species is not random. Tropical countries and islands are particularly affected. Indonesia, Brazil, and Colombia top the list for the number of threatened species, while islands like French Polynesia have the highest proportion. Regional assessments reveal that the crisis is widespread, with significant numbers of species at risk in Europe and Australia as well. The loss of bird diversity threatens not only ecosystems but also the cultural and economic benefits birds provide. We are living through an extinction crisis, with the current rate of species loss far exceeding historical averages. Since 1500, at least 187 bird species have gone extinct, most of them on islands. However, a new wave of continental extinctions is now underway, driven by habitat loss and fragmentation. The Red List Index for birds has shown a steady decline over the past 3 decades, indicating that extinction risk is rising. Without urgent action, many more species could be lost within our lifetimes. Many of the world's most important sites for birds are in poor condition. Forests, which are home to nearly two-thirds of all bird species, are being lost and degraded at an alarming rate. Only 44% of forest within key biodiversity areas is classified as high integrity. Wetlands, especially in Asia, are also under threat, with up to 65% of vital habitats lost or degraded. These declines reduce the capacity of these sites to support bird populations and provide essential ecosystem services. Almost all threats to birds are ultimately caused by human actions. Unsustainable use of natural resources, agricultural expansion, logging, invasive species hunting, and climate change are driving global declines. These threats often interact, compounding their impacts. For example, deforestation and climate change increase the risk of wildfires. Addressing these challenges requires a comprehensive approach that tackles the root causes of biodiversity loss. Agriculture is the single greatest threat to globally threatened birds, impacting 73% of these species. Expansion and intensification of farming lead to habitat loss, degradation, and reduced food supply. In low- and middle-income countries, agricultural expansion is the main driver, while in high-income countries, intensification is the key issue. The use of pesticides and fertilizers has soared, further reducing the suitability of farmland for birds. These changes have led to dramatic declines in farmland bird populations across Europe and North America. Each year, around 7 million hectares of forest are lost due to logging. Forest specialist birds are particularly vulnerable, as they depend on old-growth trees and intact habitats. Logging not only causes direct habitat loss but also alters the composition of bird communities, affecting ecosystem functioning. Selective logging, while less damaging than clear felling, still poses significant risks, especially for species like the harpy eagle that require large, mature trees for nesting. Invasive alien species are responsible for nearly half of all known bird extinctions. Birds on islands are especially vulnerable, as they often lack defenses against introduced predators like rats and cats. Every year, billions of birds are killed by invasive species worldwide. Even continental birds are not immune, with domestic cats alone estimated to kill billions of birds annually in countries like China and the United States. Managing invasive species is critical for preventing further losses. Hunting and trapping are the most geographically widespread threats to birds. At least 45% of bird species are exploited by humans, mainly for pets, food, and traditional medicine. Illegal killing is rampant in many regions, with millions of birds taken from the wild each year. Overexploitation has already contributed to the extinction of at least 50 species and currently threatens hundreds more. Effective enforcement and alternative livelihoods are needed to reduce this pressure. Seabirds are among the most threatened groups of birds, with bycatch from fisheries posing a major risk. Every year, hundreds of thousands of seabirds are killed when they become entangled in fishing gear or collide with trawler cables. While mitigation measures exist, compliance is often low, especially in international waters. Improved monitoring and enforcement are essential to reduce bycatch and protect these vulnerable species. Climate change is rapidly becoming one of the most significant threats to birds. Rising temperatures, shifting seasons, and extreme weather events are already causing declines in bird populations and altering migration patterns. Mountain and Arctic species are especially vulnerable, as their habitats shrink or disappear. By 2100, nearly all bird species in the USA could be affected by multiple climate-related threats if global warming continues unchecked. Urban expansion and infrastructure development are major threats to birds and their habitats. Roads, buildings, and power lines fragment landscapes, increase accessibility for other threats, and cause direct mortality through collisions. Light pollution from cities disrupts migration and breeding. As urban areas expand, especially in Africa and Asia, careful planning is needed to minimize impacts on biodiversity and maintain healthy ecosystems. Wildfires are becoming more frequent and intense due to climate change and land use changes. These fires can have devastating effects on bird populations, especially in regions like Australia and the Amazon. Many species are brought closer to extinction by large-scale fires, and some may lose significant portions of their populations. As fire regimes change, the ability of ecosystems to recover is put to the test. Both fossil fuel and renewable energy production can pose significant risks to birds. Mining, oil spills, and infrastructure development destroy habitats and cause direct mortality. Even renewable energy, if poorly planned, can have major impacts. Wind and solar facilities require large areas of land and can cause collisions and displacement. Power lines, essential for energy transmission, are a leading cause of mortality for some species, such as the critically endangered great Indian bustard. Protected areas are a cornerstone of conservation. By safeguarding the most important sites for biodiversity, we can conserve not only species but also the ecosystems and services they provide. The coverage of key biodiversity areas by protected areas has steadily increased, and evidence shows that these areas are effective in maintaining bird populations. However, effective management and targeted expansion are essential to maximize their benefit. Conservation is not just about formal protected areas. Indigenous peoples and local communities play a vital role in managing important sites for biodiversity. Many key biodiversity areas overlap with indigenous lands, where traditional management practices often result in lower rates of habitat loss. Recognizing and supporting community-led conservation can deliver significant benefits for both people and nature. Beyond protecting existing habitats, restoration is essential for revering declines. Retaining intact habitats and restoring degraded ones can enhance connectivity and support the recovery of bird populations. Restoration efforts, such as reforestation and wetland rehabilitation, are vital for maintaining ecosystem services and building resilience to future threats. Effective management of hunting and trapping is crucial for preventing overexploitation. This includes enforcing laws, providing alternative livelihoods, and raising awareness about the impacts of unsustainable use. Where overexploitation is controlled, bird populations can recover, demonstrating the importance of targeted interventions. As the world transitions to renewable energy, it is essential to plan and design infrastructure to minimize impacts on birds. This includes careful siting of wind and solar facilities, using bird-friendly designs for power lines, and implementing mitigation measures to reduce collision and electrocution risks. With thoughtful planning, we can balance energy needs with biodiversity conservation. Controlling and eradicating invasive alien species is one of the most effective ways to protect vulnerable bird populations, especially on islands. Successful programs have removed invasive predators and allowed native species to recover. Ongoing monitoring and rapid response are key to preventing new invasions and minimizing their impacts. Reducing bycatch in fisheries requires a combination of regulation, technology, and compliance monitoring. Effective mitigation measures such as night setting and bird scaring lines can significantly reduce seabird mortality. International cooperation and transparent reporting are essential to ensure these measures are widely adopted and enforced. Some threatened species require targeted recovery actions, such as captive breeding, translocation, and supplementary feeding. These interventions can bring species back from the brink of extinction when combined with habitat protection and threat management. Success stories demonstrate that with the right actions, recovery is possible. To achieve lasting change, biodiversity must be integrated into all sectors of society. This means accounting for the full value of nature, raising awareness, supporting education, and promoting effective policies. Everyone has a role to play in safeguarding the natural world, from governments and businesses to individuals and communities. Strong policies and laws are essential for protecting birds and biodiversity. Advocacy efforts have led to the adoption of important international agreements and national legislation. However, effective implementation and enforcement are critical to translate commitments into real-world outcomes. Ongoing engagement with policymakers ensures that conservation remains a priority. Capacity building, education, and awareness raising are vital for empowering people to take action for birds and biodiversity. Training programs, community engagement, and public campaigns help build the skills and knowledge needed for effective conservation. By inspiring a new generation of conservationists, we can ensure a brighter future for nature. Monitoring is essential for tracking progress and adapting conservation strategies. Regular data collection allows us to assess the effectiveness of actions, identify emerging threats, and make informed decisions. Advances in technology, such as satellite tracking and citizen science, are expanding our ability to monitor bird populations and habitats worldwide. Despite the challenges, there are many examples of successful conservation. Species have been saved from extinction, populations have recovered, and ecosystems have been restored. These successes show that with the right actions and commitment, we can make a real difference. Conservation works, but time is running out. The next decade is critical. Coming decade is our window of opportunity to halt the loss of nature and set the world on a path to recovery. Governments must adopt ambitious commitments and implement transformative change. The future of birds and our own well-being depends on urgent, coordinated action at every level. Together, we can secure a future where nature and people thrive. Birds are not just indicators of planetary health, they are part of the fabric of life that sustains us all. Their decline signals deeper problems in our ecosystems, but their recovery offers hope. By protecting birds, we also protect countless other species in the natural systems that support human life. Our actions today will shape the world for generations to come. Conservation is a collective effort. Partnerships between governments, NGOs, communities, and individuals are essential for achieving lasting change. BirdLife International's global network demonstrates the power of collaboration, bringing together expertise and resources from around the world. By working together, we can overcome the challenges facing birds and biodiversity. Science underpins effective conservation. Advances in research, technology, and data analysis are providing new tools for understanding and protecting birds. From satellite tracking to genetic studies, innovation is helping us identify threats, monitor populations, and develop targeted solutions. Continued investment in science is vital for adapting to emerging challenges. Education is key to building a sustainable future. By inspiring young people and fostering a love of nature, we can cultivate the next generation of conservationists. Schools, universities, and community programs play a vital role in raising awareness and building the skills needed to protect birds and biodiversity. Citizen science empowers people to contribute to conservation. Birdwatchers and nature enthusiasts around the world collect valuable data that inform research and policy. By participating in monitoring programs and sharing observations, anyone can play a part in protecting birds and their habitats. Serving birds and biodiversity brings significant economic benefits. Birdwatching tourism generates billions of dollars and supports jobs worldwide. Healthy ecosystems provide services like pest control, pollination, and water purification, which are essential for human well-being. Investing in conservation is not just good for nature, it's good for people and economies. The challenges facing the world's birds are immense, but the solutions are within our reach. By acting now, we can halt declines, restore habitats, and secure a future for birds and people alike. Every action counts, and together we can make a difference. The time to act is now. Despite the daunting challenges, there is hope. Conservation successes around the world show that positive change is possible. By working together, embracing innovation, and committing to bold action, we can ensure that birds continue to soar and that the natural world remains vibrant for generations to come.